Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Brendan McNamara.
And I'm Brandon Kurzowski. Hear about the political discourse taking place within Peru's government.
Also, we'll give you all the details on how a fraudulent scheme provided 7,000 nurses with fabricated degrees.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
Since 2016, no president of Peru has finished their full term. The most recent president, Pedro Castillo, tried to dissolve the Congress in early December ahead of a planned impeachment vote. The military and police quickly denounced him, while Peru's highest court declared Castillo's plan unconstitutional. Congress then voted to impeach him, and by the end of the day, his vice president, Dina Boluarte, had taken office as president. Boluarte is Peru's sixth president in 7 years, which has sent the country into chaos. Castillo is now in jail, and Boluarte has promised new elections in 2024, 2 years ahead of schedule. Protesters say that is unacceptable, and that elections should be held as soon as possible. Meanwhile, prosecutors plan to file charges of alleged rebellion, conspiracy, and abuse of power against Castillo. Protesters are staging increasingly disruptive demonstrations, even shutting down major highways and airports. Boluarte is Peru's first female president, and she strongly condemned her predecessor's actions. However, since taking power, she has imposed curfews in some cities and suspended some civil liberties, such as freedom of movement and to assembly. Many Latin American leaders have criticized her for going too far. It remains to be seen when and how the government and protesters are able to come to a compromise.
A dangerous cold has impacted East Asia, killing at least 4 people. According to CNN, below-zero temperatures have brought heavy snow and treacherous travel across the continent. Officials say that all deaths are related to the storm, as heart attacks were caused by shoveling snow. In South Korea, heavy snow and temperatures as low as 5 degrees set new record low temperatures. Officials say the cold air blew in from the North Pole and is also a result of climate change. Korean meteorological expert Woo Ying-ye told CNN, quote, "We can consider this extreme weather, extreme hot and cold weather in the winter as one of the dangerous signs of climate change," end quote. Hundreds of flights were canceled in the region due to low visibility and dangerous runaway conditions. Experts also say El Niño and La Niña climate patterns have also impacted rapidly changing weather in the region, with El Niño currently causing the dangerous cold temperatures in the region. Ye Sang-wook, a climate professional at Hangye University in Southern Korea, told CNN that the unusual cold snaps in the region have been caused by Arctic ice caps melting due to warming climate conditions in the Pacific and the ocean. Experts say that this could be a new normal for the region as the planet continues to warm.
Tensions between Israelis and Palestinians in Jerusalem resulted in brutal attacks last Thursday and Friday. Thursday evening, Gaza, a Palestinian territory, fired multiple rockets towards southern Israel, which were intercepted by the Israeli military. The military then executed a raid later that evening in Palestine's West Bank, killing 9 people in the area. Tragically, this was not the end of last week's violence, as a mass shooting took place on Friday in Neve Yaakov, an area most notable for its large population of Orthodox Jews. 21-year-old gunmen shot and killed 7 worshippers at a local synagogue. Police Chief Yaakov Shabtai said, quote, "The man started shooting at anyone that was in his way. He got in his car and started a killing spree with a pistol at short range," end quote. The man was then shot and killed by police as he tried to flee the scene. After the fatal event, patriotic Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank took to the streets to celebrate, seeing this as an act of revenge for the previous military raid. Now, militants and citizens on both sides hold their breaths and prepare for the worst, as this feud is ongoing and active. A man's credit card information got exposed online. The culprit, his pet betta fish. Reporter Devin Ami has more details on this story.
A pet betta fish spends its owner's money and accidentally reveals credit card information via live stream. Yes, you heard that correctly. A Japanese YouTuber under the name Mute Kamaru is popularly known for sharing Pokemon gameplay videos unlike any other. His pet betta fish is the one behind the controller, able to move around and play the game through sensors on his tank that track movement. During his most recent live stream, the system had a minor malfunction, returning the Nintendo Switch that was being played onto its home screen and off of the game. Although at first a minor malfunction, this mishap turned into something much more. As the fish moved side to side, it managed to accomplish many things. In the live stream, you can see that the fish somehow managed to make its way into the eShop, Nintendo's digital distribution system for games and demos. From here, the beta fish spent $4 to buy points and revealed the YouTuber's credit card information in the process. As if this wasn't enough, the fish also downloaded multiple games, spent many points on things such as a new avatar, changed Mute Kamaru's gamer tag to a series of random letters, and even requested an email from PayPal before eventually shutting off the Switch console. According to UPI, Mute Kamaru, quote, reached out to Nintendo to explain the unusual incident, and the company refunded the money spent by the aquatic gamer, end quote.
Protesters spark in Australia over their controversial national holiday deemed Australia Day, which according to Axios is a, quote, anniversary of the British fleet landing in the country for the first time since January 26, 1788, end quote. The event is referred to as Invasion Day by activists because of the colonialism and the native erasive Abgula and Turch Island who inhabited the land before British rule. And protesters this year specifically have kicked off the momentum considering an event referendum to implement an indigenous voice as Australia's parliament. This voice will enable the native tribe to offer advice to all levels of government on laws and policies affecting their quality of living, including housing, education, and health services. While this movement is questionable, as some activists are weary that the change will be on placebo and won't give results, many still hope protests for this referendum will be established. Coming up after the break, we'll give you an update on the protests taking place as a result of the death of Tyree Nichols. Also, hear about what wild bird is wreaking havoc on the Minnesotan town. We'll be right back.
Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. The benefits of physical activity include brain health, weight management, reducing disease, strengthening your bones and muscles, and improving your ability to do everyday activities. So, it's time to get up and be active.
Welcome back. In a memo sent on Friday to the officers he is responsible for, General Mike Minihan, commander of the Air Mobility Command, predicted that the United States will be at war with China in 2 years. The Air Mobility Command has nearly 50,000 service members and around 500 planes. They are responsible for the transport and refueling of aircraft. Minihan said in the memo that the United States and Taiwan will both be distracted in 2024 because both nations have presidential elections that year. That gives Chinese dictator Xi Jinping an opportunity to invade Taiwan and achieve reunification. In the memo, he lays out his goals for preparation, including, quote, a fortified, ready, integrated, and agile joint force maneuver team ready to fight and win inside the first island chain, end quote. In February, he directs all members of the AMC to practice firing a clip into a 7-meter target. Then in March, he directs AMC personnel to ensure that they are legally ready and prepared by visiting their base legal office to update their records and contacts. The memo was addressed to all commanders in the Air Mobility Command and other Air Force operations commanders. They are required to report all major efforts to prepare for war with China to General Minihan by February 28th.
This week, videos were released of the Memphis traffic stop that led to the death of 29-year-old Tyree Nichols. The 4 videos from January 7th show graphic images of Nichols being restrained and struggling while being beaten by 5 police officers. Nichols died 3 days later on January 10th after numerous severe injuries from the arrest. Following the aftermath of the video, 6 officers involved in the death of Nichols were relieved from duty, with 5 facing numerous charges including murder, kidnapping, and official misconduct, according to WHBQ. Nationwide protests calling for justice followed by the release of the videos, with most protesters being peaceful. In New York City, protesters clashed with New York police, and at least 3 people were injured in the incident. On Sunday, January 29th, Memphis Police Department's Scorpion unit was permanently disbanded. Scorpion, or Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods, was intended to lower crime in the city of Memphis.
A 29-year-old Haejong Shin is facing charges after allegedly using fake government documents in an attempt to pose as a teenager at a New Jersey high school. In the news release last Wednesday, New Brunswick Police Department said that Shin had provided a fake birth certificate to the New Brunswick Board of Education. The police say that Shin wanted to enroll in the school. Students at the school have reported that Shin attended classes with them for 4 days. The staff members at New Brunswick Public School discovered Shin when completing vetting protocols. Shin was then banned from entering any district property. Aubrey Johnson, the New Brunswick Public Schools superintendent, said, quote, "The well-being of our students, staff, and community are of the utmost importance to us, and we'll be continuing to work with the police department and our other partners in addressing this matter," end quote. Community events get canceled after being terrorized by a wild bird. Reporter Devin Amee has the story. Devin?
A turkey in Minnesota has made its mark on a neighborhood since 2021, causing chaos for its community with its aggression, and specifically leaving a mark, or maybe multiple, on resident Rachel Gross. The turkey first arrived in a pack in 2021. However, the turkey, which Gross has since named Reggie, decided it would be the newest neighbor to move into town, settling in on Gross's roof. According to an interview with the Washington Post, Gross describes her first encounter with Reggie. The turkey dropped from her roof when she arrived home, ripping her jacket and scattering her groceries everywhere. Since that day, Reggie has been an important part of the neighborhood, but not in a good way. Due to its aggression towards people, Gross and many others walk around with sticks, brooms, golf clubs, and even go so far as to wear safety goggles for protection. Reggie will peck at people's feet and chase children in the neighborhood, therefore creating an uneasy feeling among those who encounter him. The turkey also enjoys pecking at tires in its free time and glaring at Rachel Gross through her kitchen window. Gross has been attempting over the last few years to have the turkey professionally removed, but hasn't had any luck, as relocation isn't possible when the bird has been aggressive towards people and rather ends up becoming food. Without wanting to harm Reggie, this has become a last resort. Since his arrival, the neighborhood has had to cancel trick-or-treat, and summer activities like barbecues have been held off. Gross told the Washington Post, quote, "I'm so exhausted. I hope this gets a solution and somebody comes to help so I don't have to deal with this anymore, and so that we all can have a peaceful summer with our kids and grandkids and actually just have a barbecue and relax," end quote.
Between a young man being awarded the Medal of Courage and a particular face found on the surface of Mars, our reporter Juliana Brock has the details.
26-year-old Brandon Tsai was awarded a Medal of Courage from the city of Alhambra, California on Sunday. Tsai was awarded for his act of bravery during the Lunar New Year celebrations last weekend when he disarmed a man with a firearm as he entered a dance studio. The man with the firearm, known as Hugh Can Tran, was also the suspect in the Monterey Park shooting that took place earlier that night at another dance studio. Unfortunately, 11 people were killed and 10 others were injured at the Monterey Park shooting. Tsai told CNN last week that he was working the ticket office at the Alhambra dance studio when Tran walked in and pointed a firearm at him. It was then seen on surveillance footage that Tsai wrestled the firearm from Tran for about 40 seconds and suffered hits on the face, back, and head during this time. Tsai was then able to get the gun away from Tran. California Representative Judy Chu stated, quote, "The carnage would have been so much worse had it not been for Brandon Tsai," end quote. According to WTAE, Tran was pronounced dead that Sunday after a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police are continuing to investigate Tran's history and what motivated the shooting as more information is discovered. Everyone was grateful for Tsai's act of bravery and even presented signs calling him a hero during his award ceremony. President Joe Biden even called Tsai to thank him for his courage and personally invited him to be his guest at his State of the Union address taking place on February 7th. This invitation is a tremendous honor and one deserved by a true hero. In other news, a NASA orbiter captured an interesting face on one of its laps around Mars. According to CNN, a camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, called the High Resolution Imaging Experiment, also known as HiRISE, captured what resembled a bear's face on the Martian surface. This image was captured in December, but was recently shared on January 25th by the University of Arizona, which developed the camera with Ball Aerospace. A circular fracture shapes the head of the bear, and the fracture could possibly be from the settling of a deposit on top of a buried impact crater that may have been filled with mud or lava. 2 craters make up the bear's eyes, and a volcanic or mud vent shapes the V-shaped structure, making what appears to be the bear's nose. Ashley Strickland, a writer for CNN, wrote, quote, "The HiRISE camera has been taking images of Mars since 2006, when the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter began circling the red planet. The powerful camera was designed to capture detailed images of the Martian surface, including features as small as 3 feet," end quote. The orbiter circles Mars every 112 minutes, searching for evidence of water and ice, along with future land sites for other missions. Never did they expect they would find the face of a bear.
Over 7,000 nurses have been unknowingly practicing with a fake nursing degree in South Florida area after federal officials uncovered a wire fraud scheme in 3 nursing schools in the area. The 3 schools, including Siena College, Palm Beach School of Nursing, and Sacred Heart International Institute, have been shut down in light of the investigation. The Department of Justice revealed that over 7,600 fake or unearned nursing degrees were given at these 3 schools. Over 24 people have been charged for their involvement with this scheme, taking place between 2016 and 2021. The Justice Department said, quote, "Engaged in a scheme to sell fraudulent nursing degree and diplomas and transcripts obtained by accrediting Florida-based nursing schools," end quote. The investigation is ongoing as all receivers of the fake diplomas were given the chance to take the National Nursing Board exam and obtain nursing license in various states. When we get back from the break, we'll have all your Pittsburgh local news. Stay tuned to hear about the upcoming bridge that collapsed in Pittsburgh 1 year ago. Also hear about the police chief that was charged with a heinous crime. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. The Pittsburgh Public School District is planning to sue multiple social media companies because of their marketing techniques. The district believes that these companies use techniques that target children and are responsible for causing mental health problems in students. The district's solicitor, Ira Weiss, said that millions of dollars were spent to meet the needs of students and that this lawsuit is similar to those of other schools nationwide. Social media has been hailed for its ability to keep us connected. However, the bad effects of social media have caused chaos among teenagers. District administrators say that social media contributes to learning loss and increasing misbehavior. The teachers' union fully supports this lawsuit because students will get into fights online and then bring those fights to school. Pittsburgh Public Schools intends to file this suit in federal court against all social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. The district is working with 2 outside law firms on this case, and they say it is similar to lawsuits against vaping, which also targeted young adults.
January 28th marked 1 year since the collapse of the Fern Hollow Bridge, and the National Transportation Safety Board is still investigating the cause of the collapse. On January 26th, 2,000 documents were released relating to the bridge's deteriorating condition. In the past year, much testing has been done on the steel supports that were used on the bridge, including the southwest leg, which ultimately caused the collapse of the bridge. The collapse is still under investigation, and it's still unclear what ultimately the cause was. The new Fern Hollow Bridge opened on December 22nd, less than a year after the collapse. Still, the fallout of destruction continues to dwindle. On January 27th, a lawsuit was filed by the 3 people who were on the bridge while it collapsed. Velva and Tyrone Perry were on the bridge at the time of the collapse, where they sustained injuries to the vertebrae and suffered from emotional distress. The Port Authority driver and the 4 others on the bridge had also filed a lawsuit, but the cases were consolidated into one. The lawsuit claims that the city of Pittsburgh failed to maintain the bridge even when it had poor structural rating. According to the Tribune Review, the bridge received a D+ rating by civil engineers in 2018. We'll keep you posted on any developments in the lawsuit as the cause of the collapse come in.
A new free program is being offered to Allegheny County residents that is designed to help with people who have a tendency to wander. The program is called Project Lifesaver and is currently being offered in 41 states as a national program. People who participate in the program will wear a transmitter, either on their wrists or ankle. The transmitter emits a tracking signal, which can be used by search teams to find someone who has gone missing. It is reliable in any area, as it is a radio frequency. The program started in the Pittsburgh area 10 years ago by the Munhall Borough Police Department. Anyone who is also a caregiver to a person can enroll them. You can find out more about the program by contacting the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office by phone at 412-350-3138 or online.
The chief of police in Greensburg has been arrested and is facing charges for allegedly violating federal narcotics laws. According to the Justice Department, Deshaun Denning is facing 6 federal crimes charged for orchestrating a series of drug deals. The 41-year-old from Delmont was taken into custody Wednesday morning and made an appearance before the magistrate. He had been the chief of police since March 2022. According to the court documents by the Department of Justice, Denning was allegedly first involved in having conversations with a confidential informant in 2021. That confidential informant was working with the DEA as part of the investigation. Paperwork alleges that Denning would facilitate getting drugs and connecting the informant with them for distributing over a 16-month period. Authorities say some drugs were sourced in California and Arizona and then delivered to the informant through the mail. On several occasions, court documents allege that Dennings would use the app Wicker to communicate about drugs. Dennings was charged with 2 counts of aiding and abetting to the distributing of cocaine, 2 counts of aiding and abetting to distribution of methamphetamine, and 1 count of aiding and abetting to the attempted distribution of methamphetamine, and 1 count of conspiracy to possess and intent to distribute drugs. Dennings is facing a maximum of 20 years in prison, a fine of $1 million, or both. The case is still under investigation by the Drug Department and the FBI. After the break, hear about the doll changing it all as Barbie honors a significant figure of the 1920s. Also, stay tuned because we'll have your Pittsburgh weather update. Find out if the first week of February will reflect a bitterly cold winter or be a sense of spring. Stay tuned.
Hey!
Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. My name is Craig Ferkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up on NewsNight.
Welcome back. It's now time for some good news. A young black woman named Bessie Coleman is the latest hero being honored in the Inspiring Women Barbie doll series. Bessie Coleman was the first black woman pilot in the 1920s, who became known for her stunt flying adventures. The Brave Bessie doll that is being released this month was modeled after Coleman and wears a traditional aviator suit with her initials BC etched on the cap. According to the Good News Network, Bessie's great-niece, Gigi Coleman, was involved in the creation process and said, quote, "Keeping Bessie's legacy alive has always been a labor of love for my family. We hope through this doll more people will discover Bessie's story and be inspired," end quote. Despite restrictions in America at the time because of her race and gender, Bessie fought to travel to France to train to be a pilot and become the first black person to receive an international pilot's license. The doll is already available for purchase at Walmart and Target, as well as on the Mattel Creations website. Pittsburgh's weather is sure to keep you on your toes this week. First-time weather reporter Cade Montgomery is here to give you the February forecast. Cade?
Thanks, Brendan. Pittsburgh is starting February strong with Thursday's temperature in the high 30s. The bright sunshine we should be seeing will also make it feel a bit warmer as well. Throughout the day, there is no expected snowfall. However, the wind gusts will reach a mild 12 miles per hour. Overnight, the temperatures are expected to drop into the teens, reaching no higher than 15 degrees while the sun is down. The only thing increasing is the wind gust, which should reach about 19 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at this week's forecast. Buckle up, Pittsburgh, because this week's weather is going to be a roller coaster ride. Towards the weekend, expect the temperatures to drop significantly. Friday and Saturday seem to be the more bitter of the cold days, with temperatures in the low 20s. Also be prepared for no sunshine as solace from the cold, as it is expected to be very cloudy and windy. However, fear not, Pittsburgh. By Sunday, the sun will begin peeking out from the clouds and temperatures will raise to the low 40s. Tuesday of next week, we will be seeing the warmest temperature reaching almost 50 degrees. That's all I have for you this week. Now back to the desk.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Brandon Krasowski.
And I'm Brendan McNamara. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.